taking a topic about viral host interactions. Means when the virus can enter in our body, when we are in exposure of the viral infections. That cases. How can virus goes in our body? What happen? How they can produce a disease or a sign and symptoms? What is relations between virus and host? How can they can act? We will discuss about that. And after that lecture, you should able to understand what is the interactions between viral and host. How can the viral replicate in our body? How the pathogenesis occurred in our body after the exposure of viral infections? What is the immunity when the virus enter in our body? So what is the role of immunity in our body, in host? Then what is immunoprophylaxis when the infections occurred by virus? How can act immunoprophylaxis? Then what is laboratory diagnosis? Can take in short because another lecture is whole lectures part 3. Laboratory diagnosis of viral infections should be taken. So now we will start when the virus can enter our body by any route. So what happens? So they can act on host cells. The virus enter into the host cells. That's why some changes occurred in cellular level. So what happened when they enter into the cells? So there is variety. There is a range of no apparent cellular damage to rapid cell destructions. Some virus can cause cell death. This is called cytocida. Mostly example like polio virus, in that case cell death occurred. Some virus can cause cell lysis. This is called a cytolysis. Some virus can cause cell proliferations. Before their multiplication, replications, they change the cells. Cells become proliferations. Mostly example like molluscum contagiosum. In that case, the cell proliferations occur. In sometimes when the host are suffering from oncogenic virus, in that cases, the cells become a malignant transformations. Sometimes it may be also occurred virus infection, it is a cellular, then cytopathic effect. There is a damage of cells. How can you can see the cytopathic effect? So you can see the observable manner, cellular changes by virus when you can culture virus in tissue. Cellular injury may be occurred during viral and host interactions. Sometimes it's an early or non-structural viral proteins cause shut down the host proteins and DNA synthesis. When the large amount of viral macromolecules inside in the infected cells can disturb the architecture and exert a toxic effect. So, disturb architectures in some time you may be found some formation inside in the cells. This is, you can find the inclusion body, and that inclusion body inside in the cells, they disturb the structures. Also cell injury occurred due to the permeability of plasma membrane is altered and releasing the lysosomal enzymes, and they can cause autolysis. Also occurred alteration in the cytoplasmic membrane of infected cells. Cell injury due to occurred fusion of adjacent cell membrane leading to polykaryocytosis and syncytium formations. Some virus-coded antigen may be appear on the surface of the infected cells, and that can cause hemagglutination. The hemagglutination is due to the virus-coded antigens. Some virus can damage the chromosome of the cells. The example like measles, mumps, adenovirus, cytomegalovirus, and varicella can damage the host cell's chromosome. I say that is some changes occurred inside when the virus or viral antigen, virions, goes into the host cells. Replications occur that, and that time some changes of the host cell occurred. This is called inclusion bodies. And this is a morphological change, and they can change the morphology of the host cells. So what is inclusion body? Inclusion bodies may be an aggregation of virions or collection of viral antigens or the degenerative changes produced by the viral infection. Either degenerative changes or a collection of virus or aggregations of virions. This is called a inclusion body. Some damage to host cells chromosomes may occur, that is a formation of chromatin surrounding the nuclear membrane of host cells. In some cases like a herpes virus, or you can maybe find out in malarial parasites. So inclusion bodies helps in the diagnosis of viral infections. How can you diagnose? So there is a distinctive structures that can be demonstrated in virus infected cell under light compound microscope. Some inclusion body is intracytoplasmic, some are intranuclear, sometimes both intracytoplasmic and intranuclear. So intracytoplasmic, example like a pox virus. Intranuclear inclusion body, example like a herpes virus. Both intracytoplasmic and intranuclear. This is example of measles virus. So some acidophilic seen as a pink structure by Zimsa-Steen adenovirus may form a basophilic. So some are acidophilic and some are basophilic. So in acidophilic you can see in the Zimsa-Steen, basophilic you see in the histamine, deoxylation stain. There is some name give of the inclusion bodies. There is like a Negri bodies. This is an inclusion body of viral infection, rabies. Urinary bodies. This is caused by the virus of vaccinia. The molluscum bodies you can find out in cells due to the infection of molluscum contagiosum. These are the cytoplasmic inclusion body. Intranuclear inclusion bodies. There are two types of intranuclear body. One is Cowdry type A. The second one is Cowdry type B. In Cowdry type A, you can find out the shape, morphology like variable size, granulars. Mostly you can find out Cowdry type A inclusion bodies in herpes and yellow fever. Cowdry type B, the morphologically circumscribed and multiple. Mostly in adenovirus and poliovirus, you can find out intranuclear inclusion body like Cowdry type B. This is some picture I will show in this slide, there is a different inclusion bodies demonstrated in diagnosis of infectious disease. So here the arrow show there is an inclusion body in herpes virus. In herpes virus, it is a Cowdry type inclusion body. Negri body is a cytoplasmic inclusion body and mostly it caused by rabies. Here the arrow show this is a Negri body pictures. Uriner bodies, this you can find out the vaccinia viral infections. Bollinger bodies, mostly you can find out the fowl pox viral infection. So these Bollinger bodies like inclusion, this is also a cytoplasmic inclusion body. Molluscum bodies, this is caused by molluscum contagiosum. And here it is also a cytoplasmic inclusion body. Cowdry type E9, it is an intranuclear. Cowdry type is an intranuclear inclusion body surrounded by a clear halo and there is you can see in a hepatocyte. And this is a Cowdry type B. You can also find the intracytoplasmic and intranuclear both. You can find out inclusion body intracytoplasmic as well as intranuclear. Here there is owl's eye appearance. Owl's appearance look like inclusion body in cytomegalovirus infections and measles virus. Now we are discuss about the pathogenesis of viral infection. How can, when the virus enter in our body, how the pathogenesis occurred. So sometimes it is inapparent when it is in incubation period, they cannot find any symptom and sign. And your immunity is very good, host immunity is very good. They can interact with the virus infections and clear that virus. So sometimes it can be inapparent, you cannot find out anything. In some viral infections, this is apparent. They can cause acute infections as well as subacute infections and chronic infection also can occur. In some cases, you can find out the latent infections. Suddenly there is infections in occurred, but that is not so much acute. Our immunity is good, or the virulency of virus is low. In that case, and there is no any other predisposing factor. In that cases, the virus can appear clear, but latent period, when your immunity goes down, when you are in immunocompromised or in immunosuppressive conditions, or there is any predisposing factor like a diabetes or hypertension, any chronic disabilitated disease, in that cases the predisposing factor can act and the persistent tolerant infections. So, example like persistent tolerant infections, this is congenital as well as neonatal infections. Oncogenic virus, you maybe find out that latent infection. HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, latent in infections, they can in latent become a infection become a disease, like example of HIV. In herpes simplex virus, you can also found latent infections. Then in that cases you can find out the nerve ganglion root. The latent infections is up, and they can disturb the neurological symptoms. Now any infections, when they need enter in the host cells by different routes, they need an entry. Virus need an entry, goes into the host. So there is a different routes to enter in the host body. One is respiratory tract. The route is respiratory tract, and mostly the influenza virus, rhinovirus, as well as now COVID-19, novel coronavirus. This is our aerosol route by fomites. Okay, they can enter by respiratory tract. Some infection can by alimentary tract by ingestions of the infections of virus. Mostly example like enterovirus and rotavirus. Mostly they can occur in enterovirus and rotavirus. They can disturb the GI tract and cause diarrhea. Rotavirus. There are also a route of skin. Sometimes it is localized. It is a contagious disease. Viral contagious disease. They can enter by skins. The example of this virus like a papilloma virus and vaccinia virus. Some caused by eyes through the conjunctiva route. This is called example like adenovirus. And some virus they can cause a vertical transmission. This is called a vertical transmission and cause a congenital infections. Example like rubella and cytomegalovirus. When the virus can enter through route of respiratory tract, the most common, it is the most common route, respiratory tract. They can multiply locally, enter into the blood by lymphatic channels through lymph nodes, extensive multiplications, and then it goes into the central foci. The first time when they multiply locally, enter in the blood or lymph node, this is called the primary viremia. Then they goes into the central foci, like a spleen, liver, lungs, kidney, particular organs. And they can multiply further in that cases and release in blood. This is and produce a disease. This is called a secondary virus. Which virus can cause infection by respiratory route? Smallpox, chickenpox, influenza virus, rhinovirus, swine flu, coronavirus, all those, respiratory syncytial virus, all goes through the respiratory tract. Second route is alimentary tract. So all envelope virus are destroyed by bile when they goes into the alimentary canal, but some all envelope, but non-envelope virus. Rhinovirus is inactivated by gastric juice. Enterovirus, adenovirus, reovirus, hepatitis virus, they can develop infection by ingestion, or some in that cases some multiply in GI tract and transported to the target organs, like a polio virus can cause an ingestion. After primary virusia, multiplication occur after lymph node, blood, they goes into the central nervous, spinal cord, central nervous system, and that is like polio virus. Like hepatitis virus, by ingestion, hepatitis E, they go by ingestions, it goes into the first primary viremia, GIT, then secondary livers. Some virus can goes into genital tract, like the cytomegalovirus, rubella virus. Some goes by conjunctiva virus, like adenovirus, by eye through conjunctiva. Some by skin, lymph nodes, lymphatic channels locally and then goes into the systemic. The vertical transmission from mother to baby, mostly those are cytomegalovirus and rubella virus, and they can cause congenital abnormalities in newborn baby. The skin, how they can produce few local lesions. When the virus can enter into the skin, they produce few local lesions. Example like papilloma, vaccinia, cowpox and molluscum contagiosum virus. They can enter through skin. But they can enter through skin by break of the skin, where there is abrasions, lacerations. In that cases, they enter into the skin. Example like abrasion, papilloma virus can enter into the host by abrasions. Some arbovirus can enter into the host by insect bite. Some virus can enter through the skin by bites, animal bites. Example like a rabies virus. And some virus by parenteral route. When you give the injections or a blood transfusions, parenteral route, in that cases, the virus can enter into the body. An example like hepatitis. Hepatitis in hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, and HIV also. Malaria also. But malaria is parasites. Genital tract, human immunodeficiency virus. They can occur by genital tract. By conjunctival route goes into the eyes. There is a local disease caused by adenovirus and systemic disease can cause by measles. Vertical transmission may occur at any stage till birth. Usually leads to fetal death and abortions. Maldevelopment, congenital abnormalities due to the rubella and cytomegalovirus, and sometimes many tumor virus spread via this. There is how they can spread in virus. There is some model is given by a Fenner using mousepox model. So here is the mousepox virus can enters through the skin. Local multiplication means replications occur on local site and that enter into the skin and lymphatics, goes into the lymph nodes, then after lymph node they release into the blood, and this is called a primary viremia. After that blood it goes into the central foci like a spleen, liver, lungs, kidney, and there organs, they can extensive multiplications occur there. After their extensive multiplication, this spills into the blood. This is cause a secondary viremia. And then after this spills into the blood, virus reaches their target organ. Here they also multiply and cause a clinical disease, biocellular damage, cytolysis, cytopathic effect, okay, and cell injury. They can cause a clinical disease. So here we can give an example of that pathogenesis viral disease. So this is your schematic illustrations of the pathogenesis of mousepox and poliomyelitis. In mousepox you can see 0 days invasion multiplications, 1 day they goes into the regional lymph node multiplication. Second, third day they goes into the bloodstream, cause a primary viremia. 3, 4, 5, 6 days they can go spleen and liver, further multiplication occur. 5, 6 days they can go in the central foci like spleen, liver, and goes into the central foci. From that goes into the bloodstream, secondary viremia cause, and then multiplication is occurred that and goes into that target organ, focal multiplication. During this, when the secondary viremia and focal multiplication occur there, in that case after 7 days, the viral the immune response occurred because because there is antigen in our body, they stimulate immune cells, and these immune cells liberate a immune response, and then that case is the T lymphocyte cells or B lymphocytes. They can activate and they can release antibody in serum. So after 7 days of that pathogenesis, you can find out the antibody in serum. In that case, after 8 days, you can find out the sign and symptoms. In that case, you can find out early rashes on body of that mouse. 10, 11 and 12, severe rashes and ulceration occur, and that time they contaminate the environment, and that time it become pass infection to other hosts because it is a contagious. In example like human poliomyelitis, this is a disease and it is caused by the poliovirus. The poliovirus released in the feces of infected persons. And this poliovirus, exception in feces, they can enter into the host by an ingestion route, goes into the small intestine. Here invasions, multiplications occur, goes into the liver. After the multiplication, the virus, they can release the virions. They can go to the mesenteric lymph nodes multiplications, goes into the bloodstream, cause a primary viremia. Central focus of multiplications, after there is the extensive multiplications occur in central focus. In that case, 4 to 5 days, initially antibody appears. After that, release of central focus of multiplication, in that case, there is a secondary viremia, and that spills the virus in blood, and this goes into their target organs. Here in poliomyelitis, target organ is CNS, central nervous system. So here they goes into the central nervous system, multiplication, intraneural spread, and there is high level of antibody you can find in serum after 10 days, and they can affect the spinal cord, neurons, transmission of neurons, they can affect the spinal cord and motor nervous system, and patient become a paralyzed. That patient can also release a virus from their feces, vice versa. Now there is a very important, when the virus can enter in our body and produce a sign and symptom, between that period, this is called the incubation period. So time taken for virus to spread from site of entry to the organs of viral multiplication and causes a disease. Some localized disease, incubation period is shorter. Systemic disease, longer incubation period. And incubation period is shorter when directly introduced into the bloodstream, like a blood transfusion or by injection manner, the incubation period is small. Host response depends on virulence of how the host responds. When the virus can enter in our body, there is a different host response. Depend upon the immunity of host, age of host, temperature on the body of host, malnutrition, all the factors can depend upon the host response. So resistance of the host, sometimes you can find out the resistance of this particular virus cannot multiply. Some resistance occurred that. So due to the immunological, in immunological there are two types, humoral immunity and cell-mediated immunity. Non-specific, sometimes viral infections occur, and that times the interferon productions occurred in our body. They can also interfere to resist, enter into the virus, body temperature, age and malnutrition. Sometimes also the viral response, like a viral infection liberate surface antigens, sometimes internal antigen. So surface antigen, they have a capacity to that receptor in cells and they can attach this receptor through host cells. This antigen can specific antigen receptor in the host cells and they attach to the surface antigen. Sometimes maybe internal antigens may can liberate, and some non-structural antigen can liberate and produce a virus. Have you seen in the humoral immunity? When there is a humoral immunity, the infection can occur. So after 5 to 6 days, there is antibody, immunoglobulin, right, in blood and tissue level like IgG, immunoglobulin G, immunoglobulin M. And it is a mucosal surface, either alimentary canal or a mucosa of the nasal or respiratory tract. In that case, the release of immunoglobulin is immunoglobulin A. So what is the role of immunoglobulins? So immunoglobulin prevent attachment of the virus to cell. They can prevent. Enhance viral degradations. There is a viral degradation. They can help to in degradation of viral. They can prevent release of virions from infected cell. In immune system, sometime antigen antibody reaction take place internal side. And there is a help of complement the surface damage of envelope of virions. Due to the surface damage of envelope of virions, they cannot attach the host cells. In some cases, the cytolysis of virus. Sometimes the immunoglobulin can help to cytolysis of the cells of infected virus. Role of antibodies in viral infection is limited, but antibody to internal antigens, of role of internal antigen to antibody, in that case is non-neutralizing effect. But antibody to surface antigens, in that case is antigen antibody take place, help the produce of complement of help of this complement, they can cause a neutralize the virus. And they can clear the virus from the body. Some antibodies can paradoxically increasing infectivity and may contribute to pathogenicity also. Antibody may result in complement-dependent cell injury and immune. There are two types of antibody may result. First, complement-dependent cell injury. Second one is immune complex type tissue injury. What is role of cell mediator? We can talk about humoral immunity. Now we will talk about the cell mediated immunity. So there is a cell in virus that plays a major role of cell mediated immunity. Has been recovery from viral infection. And this cell mediated immunity can cause tissue damage as well. If there is a cell mediated immunity deficiency in host cell, they can increase in herpes and pox. They can increase the viral infections, example like herpes, pox and measles infections. Most often an infection provides long-lasting immunity. CMI, they can provide long-lasting immunity. In some viral infection like a measles, chicken pox, herpes, in that cases, they can produce a long-lasting. Non-immunological response also you can find out through the microphages in blood. They can phagocyte the infected viral host cells. Some body temperature more than 39 degrees Celsius inhibit most virus multiplications. Exceptions like herpes simplex, they can aggravate when the temperature is higher, then fever is high, they produce blisters. Hormones is a major role of the response, like a corticosteroid enhance if patient are in immunosuppressive therapy like a corticosteroid. In that cases, the viral infections can enhance. Why? Due to the depressions of immune system. They can suppress the immune system and inhibition of production of interferon synthesis. And that's why the immunosuppression can cause enhance of viral infections. Malnutrition patient, they can also enhance the viral infections. Age-related in newborn and old age, geriatric patients, mostly immunity is low. In that cases, the enhanced viral infection in young, viral infection, exposure of viral infection, times they can clear that viral infection. There is an interferon synthesis, cell release. Cells released and the immunity is bad. So it is a host-coded. Interferon is a protein, but it is a host-coded protein, not viral-coded. They cannot direct act on virus. They can act on host cells to make them refractory of viral infections. On exposure of infection cells, they produce translation inhibition produced by interferon, and this inhibits the translation of viral messenger infection. But interferon cannot disturb translation of host messenger RNA. Interferon is species specific. RNA virus are better inducer of interferon productions compared to DNA virus. More temperature, like more than 40 degrees Celsius, inducer interferon secretions. Very nicely. Steroids and O2 level increase in the host. In that kind, it can decrease the interferon synthesis. Then there is decreased interferon synthesis. They can decrease the TIP. Cannot inhibit the messenger RNA of virus. Synthesis start in about 30 minutes. Interferon synthesis, when they are exposed into the whole cell, the interferon synthesis start about 30 minutes of induction and reaches peak by 6 to 12 hours. There are 3 types of interferons you can find out: alpha, beta and gamma. Alpha interferons from leukocytosis, beta interferons released from fibroblast synthesized, and gamma interferons can synthesized by T lymphocytes. Interferon inactivated by proteolytic enzymes. They can resist 50 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius for 30 to 60 minutes. Alpha and beta interferon are resistant at pH range of 2 to 10. Gamma is liable at pH of different pH, different in pH act on the different interferons. Non-toxic, poorly antigenic in nature, cannot be estimated by routine serological method. You cannot estimate interferon by routine serological method. What is the use of interferons? Ideal candidate for prophylaxis and treatment. We can use interferon for prophylaxis and treatment of patients. It is non-toxic, non-antigenic, diffuse freely in the body, and a wide spectrum of antiviral activity. That's why we are using interferon as a prophylaxis and treatment. Drawback. There is a species specific. Now, where we are using the interferon in current use, mostly upper respiratory tract infections, warts means skin infection or STI infections, herpetic keratitis, and anti-cancer agent in lymphomas. What is the biological effect of interferons in our body? It is antiviral, resistance to infection, as well as antimicrobial, is also resistance to intracellular infections like toxoplasma, chlamydia, malaria, those who are intracellular. Interferon can act as a cellular effects. So inhibition of cell growth and proliferation increase. And there is increased the major histocompatibility antigens on cell surface. They can also act on an immunoregulatory act, increase activity of natural killer cells and T cells, activate cell destruction activity of macrophages, moderate antibody formations, activate suppressor T cells, and suppressor of delay type of hypersensitivity. Now we are goes for the laboratory diagnosis for viral infections. In that case is appropriate specimen collected. So there are type of specimen to be sent for a virus diagnosis. So it is depend upon which type of sample you can collect. It depend upon the system. Which system are involved in the viral infections, and which sample you should be collected. So in respiratory system or a nasopharyngeal infections, in that cases, for isolation of virus or by laboratory diagnosis or a serological diagnosis. So for isolation, means isolation for culture for that virus, you can take swab, throat swab, throat washing, aspirate, endotracheal, endomouth washing. Direct examinations, when you want to do the immunofluorescence, electron microscope or immunodiffusion or by light microscope, in that case is a naropharyngeal aspirate is very important. For serological paired sera blood collections. If central nervous system is infected, in that cases you can collect the sample, stool, blood for arbovirus isolation, CSF cerebrospinal fluid, or for a brain biopsy, throat swab, rectal swab, you can also take that. Brain biopsy you can use for a direct immunofluorescence and electron microscopy, and cerebrospinal fluid you can use the electron microscopy, immunofluorescence also. Serological you can collect blood for paired sera. If it is cardiovascular system and skin are affected, in that case for isolation of virus you can collect the feces. Macular and papular scraping, vesicular and pustular fluids, ulcer scraping, crust, feces and throat swab you should be collected. If you can do the direct microscopic examination, in that case is nil. You can, in cardiovascular system there is no need to direct examinations. You cannot find out. But in skin you can vesicular, pustular fluid, you can direct actions, direct microscopy or electron microscopy, ulcer scraping, electron microscopy, crust, electron microscopy, and ID. For serology, paired sera always you collect for both cardiovascular system and skin. If eye are involved, infection in the eye due to virus, you can collect conjunctival scraping as well as swab also. Conjunctival scraping as a smear on microscope slide, light microscope as well immunofluorescence microscope. And paired sera you can conduct. If liver can affect it, there is blood for yellow fever, serum or feces for a direct examination, and for serology you can collect the serum. General congenital infections and general pyrexia unknown origin, in that cases, throat swab you can collect for isolations. Heparinized blood, arbovirus and arenavirus infection, throat swabs and feces fresh urine you can also collect it for isolation of virus. Direct microscopy examination name, but single sera, mother and baby paired sera also you can collect. In congenital, single sera, mother and baby from, but general and PUO you can collect the paired sera. This is a WHO guideline. Laboratory diagnosis of viral infection. Microscopy. So you can see the electron microscopy, fluorescent microscopy and light compound microscopy. Electron microscopy, you can find out that the shape virus can identify based on their distinct appearance. For example, rabies virus bullet shaped, rotavirus wheel shaped, coronavirus petal shaped papillomas, adenovirus you can find morphology like a space vehicle space shape, and astrovirus star shaped papillomas you can find out. Serological diagnosis, you can demonstration of viral. So by serological, when you can collect the serum, blood, separate the serum, and it is mostly paired serum you can collect, right? In that case, you can demonstrate viral antigens, viral antibodies, and pair sera can help to acute and convalescent stage of the viral infections in patients. Molecular diagnosis, you can find out DNA and RNA, nuclease-based DNA, PCR, chain reaction, Paxil chain reactions, polymerase chain reactions, PCR, hybridization due to find out the nucleobase nucleic acids, multiplex PCR, NAT nucleic acid amplifications test. All these molecular methods you can apply for viral infections. You can also diagnose by laboratory for isolation of virus. So here there is a different type of isolation in virus can occur. By animal inoculation you can find out isolation. By inoculation of embryonated egg, by continuous cell cultures or a tissue cultures. You can do the different cultures. So isolation of virus need proper transport media at appropriate temperature. They need a cold chain maintained. Processing to removal. Before you go for a culture, you have to processing to remove bacterial contaminants. And then you can inoculation in egg. Animal inoculation, in inoculation egg you can find out some changes in eggs. In animal inoculations, there is identified by neutralization test. Tissue cultures, you can find out the cytopathic effect of cells. Cell cultures is also you can find out the cytopathic effect. And virus isolation has to be correlated with always with clinical history. Immunoprophylaxis. In viral infection, how can you do the immunoprophylaxis? So infection, it is due to the infection or by a vaccines. To prolong and effective immunity you can find out. Live vaccine more effective than killed vaccines. Successful live vaccines are a smallpox vaccines, yellow fever vaccine and polio vaccines. Killed vaccine prepared by inactivating virus using heat, phenol, formalin or beta-propranolol. You can also use a subunit vaccines in hepatitis B virus. Live and attenuated vaccines. What is the advantages of and disadvantages of live attenuated vaccine? So in advantages is a single dose, administered by route of natural infections, induce immunoglobulins as well as induce cell-mediated immunity, long-lasting immunity. It is an economical apt for mass immunization. You can apply it for a mass immunization. Disadvantage is remote chance of reactivation of virus. Cannot be used in immunocompromised patient. Existence of other virus may result in lesions immune response, less immune response, and needs proper cold chain. Killed vaccine advantages: it is safe, stable, and can be given as combined vaccines. Disadvantage: multiple dose and does not induce local immunity or cell-mediated immunity. Chemoprophylaxis challenges: viruses are strictly intracellular. Use host mechanism for replication. Hence, therapy would destroy host cell as well as. So, selective inhibition of viral enzyme. So, you can select which level you can give a prophylaxis. So, in some selective inhibitions of, you can selective inhibition of viral enzymes. In that case, attachment, transcription of viral nucleic acid, translation, replication, viral assembly, and a release. And that level you can apply chemoprophylaxis. Antiviral reagents you can use as a chemoprophylaxis, like 1960 first antiviral pox virus, smallpox eradicated by vaccination. In 1962, hydroxyuridine used as a herpes keratitis. In 1917, acyclovir are effective in herpes infections. And this antiviral agent can act on nucleoside analogues like a deoxyuridines, means hydroxyuridine name, hepatic keratitis. You can use in hepatic keratitis. Trifluiridine for is a less toxic, so can you also use in that viral infections. The bromovinyl deoxyuridine mostly can act on herpes and varicella. The second one is adenine arbinoside. Pharmaceutically, this can act on herpetic keratitis, herpes simplex virus, and Vanningia virus. Acyclovir also can act on herpes virus. Ganciclovir can act on cytomegalovirus, and zidovudine can act on HIV, immunodeficiency virus, and mostly they can inhibit the viral reverse transcriptase enzyme. Another antiviral agents is protease inhibitors. This is spinavir, ritonavir, and idinavir. Those who are a protease inhibitor. Others, amantadine, blocks cell penetration by influenza A, but not B and C. They can act on influenza A, but cannot act on B and C. So mostly common flu you can use amantadine. Thank you.